Alrighty, welcome to today's lesson, and today's going to be a bit of a recap on simultaneous equations, and in particular we're going to be looking at elimination as the method of choice. So just as a quick recap, simultaneous equation means that you have two equations. Generally speaking, when we're talking about equations, let's think of them as two lines. So we have two lines, and they're both of the form y equals mx plus c. A sensible question to ask is, when do they meet? At what coordinate, x, y, do these two equations meet? And the goal of simultaneous equations is to find that specific spot. That's the whole point. Now you'll notice with that, we're not solving just for one variable, we're actually solving for two variables. Now, simultaneous equations can be done even with more equations and more variables, which is what we're going to be looking at next time. But for this point, I just want you to really focus on the fact that we're looking for two variables. So our solution cannot just be x equals, we need x equals and y equals, because we're looking for a specific point. So let's imagine we have two linear equations. 3y minus 2x equals 7, and the second one is going to be, let's say 3y plus 8x equals 12. Okay, so these are written not as y equals mx plus c, but slightly different. But remember, these are both going to look like lines when you graph them, and they will intercept at a point. Now, the most common technique that it comes up when doing this is to use the elimination method. And basically what that means is that you take these two equations and you do some kind of arithmetic to them. That could be addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. But you're looking for one that will cancel out variables, meaning that they go away. So for example, I could look here at these two and notice they both have a 3y, meaning if I subtracted them, then I would be left with no y's at all, which is kind of the aim. So let's compute that. Let's compute 2 minus 1. Well, I like to do it bit by bit. Some of you might be wondering why I put 2 first, and the main reason is that I can see that 2 has bigger numbers than y. So it means I'm going to get less negative numbers when I actually compute it. So 2 is 3y plus 8x equals 12 minus 3y minus 2x equals 7. That's equal to, alrighty, so 3y minus 3x, 3y minus 3y is 0y, which is perfectly what we wanted. No y's left, so no y is nothing. Next one, 8x minus 2, so that's actually plus 2, so it's 8x plus 2, so that's going to be 10x, and then 12 minus 7 is equal to 5. Alrighty, so we have got nearly actually solved for x. In fact, we've now eliminated y, which means we can solve for x. X is equal to 5 on 10, or a half. Except, like I said at the beginning, the goal is never to just find x or to just find y. The goal is to find x and y. So now that I've found x, I'm going to sub x equals a half into my favorite equation that I've got left. So I've got this equation and this equation. So I'm going to sub it into, I kind of look like the look of equation 1. So let's sub it into 1. So if I substitute it into 1, I get 3y minus 2 times a half equals 7. I get 3y, 2 times a half is just 1, minus 1 equals 7. Add 1 to both sides. I get 3y is equal to 8. Divide both sides by 3. I get y is equal to 8 on 3. And so my final answer is x, y, the point that these two meet. The solution to this is a half, 8 on 3. Alternatively, we could write that as 2 and 2/3, but I'm going to write it as 8 on 3. I like improper fractions. Alrighty, so that is the full steps of using the elimination method. Alrighty, I'm going to go through one more example that is going to go through a similar method. The alternative method that you can use, I'm going to show it on Desmos, but on your graphics calculator, you use your Gsolve, and in your Gsolve menu, you're going to click on the intersection tool, but you can just graph them. So let's look at these two and see if we can do this on Desmos. Alright, so you can see I've just typed in both things into Desmos, and in order to find the intersection, I can just click on it, and you see you get 0.5, which is the same as a half, and 2.667, which is the rounded version of 2 2/3. Alrighty, remember on your graphics calculator, you're going to use Gsolve, and you're going to click on intersection, and that's going to solve it for you. Alrighty, otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.